What is up, my dudes? It's your boy Musha, back again with another video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Sub-Zero. So while he may not show on my channel a lot, I've actually been playing this character a good amount. He was my original main in the beta and when MK1 first released. And I started branching out and playing other characters. But one thing that I really liked that brought me back to the character was the introduction of Janet. When Janet came out, it's really cool because she was one of the only cameos that can combo off the slide. But also, Sub-Zero had a unique property where he can hold the opponent in place. And that would mean that the same way that when you play Kenshi, Kenshi can freeze you with Sub-Zero and then bring out Sento. Well, you could do the reverse with Sub-Zero. You can freeze them and then bring out Janet. It's pretty cool the way that ends up working out, because I was actually playing Kenshi a lot for the first year of the game along with Sub-Zero and Smoke, and it just clicked because when I would play Kenshi sub, I'd freeze and bring out Sento, and I was already used to the puppet, so then doing the reverse was not so bad. And Sub-Zero, some people might think that he only has access to this now that he has Polar Palm, but the reality is he's always been able to do this. So he's always been able to do that. That's something that I rarely saw Sub-Zero take advantage of, and I'm seeing more take advantage of now that it's easier to do with the Polar Palm, because a lot of people didn't know that you could actually do this, then freeze them. And I would use that a lot, because when you do that, it's an easy side switch before he had the slide. Right, and then you can go ahead and do your setup. And they end up in the corner. So just kind of wanted to go over some tech with Janet specifically. This isn't so much a Sub-Zero tutorial as it is a Sub-Janet kind of, like, I guess, exposition, so that way you can see what they're capable of and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and get right into it. With Janet, one of the cool things that you can do with her, from when we had this move that can meterlessly combo, she was one of the few cameos that would actually make it worth it. And then go into the triple clone setup, and then get your stuff going. And usually by the time you were done, she was back, and then she can hit them if they try to jump out of the clone. The way that I'm doing that is when I'm freezing them, I'm doing the near punches there. So starting from the most useful setup, one of the easy setups that you can do with Sub-Zero, right, is when you do your hit confirm from forward 1-2, you can actually get a slide combo with her. If you do close cameo, and you get a slide combo that gets more corner carry. And that's a meterless 28. And now with the addition of Polar Palm, it's even better. So you get 31 from that. So the way that you do that, when you do the slide, when he lifts them up into the air like that, you're going to do back cameo. And you can do 2 or 3, depends on what you want to do. So if Janet runs off screen in the direction that you're sliding, then you won't be able to do another one. But if she runs off the screen the other way, then you can get 2 of them back to back. And the way that you make her do that is you have to do it earlier. So let's just say I do this. I can guarantee that I get corner carry and I get a meterless 34% combo like that. So it's super useful, really good to know. It did cost me both cameo, but you know, it's just something to have in your back pocket if you really want to get them to the corner. You can also do the 3-punch version, and that will take them a little bit further than the 2-punch version, so... But it does more or less the same, it does about 1% more. So that's one thing with Janet. The other thing is that you can actually do the regular slide conversions. So one really useful application of that is the triple clone setup, right? See, so that setup is really useful because it gives Sub-Zero something that he doesn't really have all that often unless he's in the corner, and that is pressure mid-screen. So a lot of the times he doesn't have the best pressure because he kind of gives up his turn after every button, right? The biggest gimmick that you have for that is like doing clone, but then certain characters can punish it on block. So the ability to, for one bar, basically give yourself a safe 50-50 after the fact that leads to corner carry and like another, you know, good chunk of change for damage is really, really good. And Janet helps with that because she actually can help you get conversions like the one that you just saw. Moving on, another thing too that Janet can help with that a lot of people sleep on. Janet, a lot of times people think that Janet is just Sonya 2.0, right? They think she's just Hop Punch, the character, you know, Hop Punch 1, Hop Punch 2, Hop Punch 3, right? But she's so much more than that. I mean, another useful thing that she gives Sub-Zero is she actually gives him a safe way out of his overhead, right? So he gets this into that, that's safe. See, if I put the AI to reversal me, right? So they're going to do stand 1 reversal, right? Okay, so if I go like this, they can't actually reversal that because this move is safe. It's -6. So Janet will get hit, sure, but you won't, and that's the important thing, right? Because if you ever want to try to condition them, you can do this a few times. They get restood and it's your turn again. So that's just a little small thing to keep in mind. This move is super good. And not only that, but that move is also good for reversals. So let's just say I put Scorpion to do what all of you probably love. Scorpion Pharaoh, right? He goes ahead, does that mix. Oh man, what do I do? I know, I guess right, I guess wrong. Oh man, 50-50. Well, with Janet, it's not the case. If you do this, you can just reversal right through it. So that'll work every time. And the reason why that works is because the cancel advantage of the move prior of his back 3 is not equal to the startup of the Pharaoh toss. So because of that, there's a gap in there, and you can squeeze in this reversal in that gap. And this is actually one of the faster reversals that I've seen with Cameo through my experimenting. So you're not hittable during that state. So it's super, super good. Something that definitely you guys should be using more. And you also can use it in a combo for a restand. So let me go ahead and show you that. And that's just a simple one. So right there, I'm plus 34, which actually guarantees my overhead, my low, my mid, my grab. It guarantees anything I want to do as Sub-Zero. So that's super good, and definitely not something to be slept on. Because now with the addition of Polar Palm, he actually has a low option that you can combo by yourself. See, and all that was meterless. So I have an overhead and a low option. I still wouldn't treat Sub-Zero like a 50-50 character, just because, you know, they're both kind of risky, right? Because you have, with your low, your Polar Palm, it's like a 1-button confirmed. I'm not even sure that you can confirm that. But, and then back 2, we all know is unsafe. So it's not, you know, it's not the most ideal 50-50. Someone like Johnny is way better for that. But, and Smoke too. But the, you know, the options are there, right? And unfortunately, Janet doesn't give him a throw combo. I wish. That would be amazing. What she does offer him is just options off the low as well. See, so that's a nice, easy 29 just from his back 3-4, which is safe. So, you know, you have that option, and then she makes the overhead safe, like I said before. Another thing, too, that you can do with Janet as well is the wall. So people sleep on this, but the wall is amazing, because when you have the wall there, this ice ball suddenly becomes way better. Because the thing is, if I put them to zone me, so if I go ahead and do that and have the wall, now suddenly that ice ball is pretty good. And they're in the corner where they don't want to be, right? And then it's just bad times for them. And that's exactly what you want with Sub-Zero. You want to be able to frustrate the opponent, you know, kind of bait stuff out. You can also put up the wall and just start kind of like chipping away at them. And there's like nothing they can do about it. See? So it makes this whole, you know, clone game and space game even scarier, because if you put this up and you put the clone, which is what I would normally do with Janet, that's just really frustratingly difficult to get past, because they have to jump over the wall, and if they do, they land in the clone. Or you can do vice versa, right? You can put up the clone, then put up the wall, and you have 2 layers of protection. I think it's better to put up the wall and then the clone, because by the time that the wall is up, the clone is basically gone. But you can do that, and I mean, if you really want to go all out, you can actually do this. And then you have now a clone that's going to stay there for a while. Or, and then same story, you basically have like a whole house of protection almost from the ice. It's super useful. I know that just recently, I think it was Foxy Grandpa was talking about this, but none of this is new, guys. This tech has been around since I was using it like over a year ago. So this was, yeah, this is something that's been used for a while. And that's just how unexplored, you know, Janet was. Like, again, people just treated her like she was Hot Punch 2.0, but in reality, I mean, it's a lot more stuff that you could do with her. You can see, and if you've seen in my Janet guide, you saw me talking about this. She's the only cameo that I made a full guide for, just because of how underutilized I think she was. Another thing, too, is like his regular BMBs, right? So let's just kind of look at how she can expand, you know, his regular combos. So, pre-patch, I was doing this. No clone there. Instead, this. So you can see there that leaves them in the clone setup in the corner, where the clone is between them and you. And that actually used to freeze before they did that clone nerf, where, you know, his clone, he jumps further back. So some things don't combo, like 4-1-2 doesn't combo in the corner. Well, the stand 3 into clone used to combo there as well. But it's still pretty good, because now what it does is it leaves you in a simple clone setup where the clone is really close to them, and you could basically do anything and they can't do anything about it. And keep in mind, you know, if they go ahead and try to jump, you can still hit them. You know, you can catch them with an air-to-air, or you can hit them with a clone charge, things like that. And if you're in the corner, so that's a nice 1 bar, 41% for Sub-Zero that you can do as well. And you can also lead that into the clone setup. See, and then now, you once again get a combo from that. And now they're almost at the other corner. So, it's awesome. This team is just super good. And you can put them in super uncomfortable situations, like if you happen to, you know, for example, you do slide, and you meaty back 3 clone, and you put up the wall. I mean, what are they going to do? Like, you know, it's pretty crappy for them, honestly. So, I think it's awesome. It's really good. It's really frustrating for other people to deal with, but it's pretty fun when you're the one doing it, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, that's super good. Like, there's a lot that you can play with there. And then finally, the last thing I want to go over is actually his gentle sequences, right? So you might have already seen this one from the Janet guide that I did a while back. And as you can see, that whole sequence, I mean, that's like a almost full health sequence with mix-up in it. And I just did a low and grab there, but you could also do overhead.
Amazing, am I right?
And you're right back in the loop. And if you want to cash out from either of those options,
Amazing, am I right?
that's 51%, just from needlessly, just from doing a low. There's definitely a lot of damage potential there. I personally feel like if you have Janet in the corner, you're better off doing the vortex because it's similar to having like Kenshi in the corner. It's really good, and it's a more powerful version of this because it doesn't constantly cost you bar. And the fact that you can freeze the mid combo and then refresh Janet, I think it's just kind of pointing towards just using Sub-Zero with Janet in this way, right? So it's super good, and the slide is also a long enough animation where you have enough time for Janet to refresh there as well. But what if you're not in the corner? And that's kind of what I want to talk about lastly, is mid-screen. So I was cooking up some stuff since before the patch, and I was talking with a couple of other people about it. Some of you might know Darkest Liquay, Mr. AP Chem Guy, he's also known as the Fifth Derivative, and even Just Nasty, I was showing him some of the stuff. But basically, mid-screen, you can kind of simulate a vortex like this.
Amazing, am I right?
But lately I've kind of grown to believe that I think it's best to cash out mid-screen, just because there's more options that they have mid-screen, and because the setups are a lot tighter. There's like a vortex version of that that's a lot tighter, and it doesn't feel as consistent. So with that in mind, these are some combos that you can use to kind of cash out mid-screen with Janet, which is going to be a different game plan from in the corner, because in the corner, you don't want to cash out with Janet, you want to keep putting them into that vortex, but mid-screen, you do want to cash out, and you're going to do that kind of like this. And this combo, credit goes out to the Fifth Derivative, or Mr. AP Chem, because he actually posted this on his channel, and it's pretty cool. I like the fact that this one doesn't use the clone, so you are free to use the clone on media on Wake Up with back 3 or in your next combo or stuff like that. And you can see there, that's 493. It doesn't take them really too far. They're more or less in the same area. But what's pretty cool about it is, like I said, it doesn't use the clone, so I can do this, or I could just do downward clone, like anything like that, right? And it's super cool because you just took half their health, and then now they want to come up to you, they want to level the playing field, but they can't, because you can just get the clone up. So it's a good way to just kind of like really remove options from the enemy. There is a option that's slightly more damaging, and you do use the clone, and it looks something like this. And you can see that does 504, and it leaves you right in front of them. It's not bad. It's a pretty good combo, you know, good option. But what I think that the other one is better because for 1% less, you get to have your clone on Oki, which I think is huge. I think Sub-Zero without his clone is not really a great character. So the clone, whenever you're kind of like thinking about resources, we think about a bar, we think about cameo, but I mean, the clone for Sub-Zero is a resource in and of itself, right? So if you can do a combo where you don't need the clone, then that's actually better because then you can use the clone to continue the pressure on Wake Up. And I think that that's probably the way to go. This is kind of what I think is the best bang for your buck with that combo. If you're going to use a clone in the Gento combo, I think the best way to use the clone is the triple clone setup. And I came up with a route that looks something like this. And you have the clone on Oki. Just super nice because then you can continue with pressure and close out the game. So that is what I believe to be the most optimal way to use Gento mid-screen, because like you saw, you get a really damaging combo. The combo that I did 48. The optimal does 50. You know, I mean, for a bar. So the one I did does 48, and it leads to another potential, you know, I think it was in the mid-30s. So I mean, that's over 80% of their health gone, because, well, first they got punished for doing something, or you out-footsied them or something like that. And then second, they guessed wrong between a safe 50-50. You know, so I mean, now we're getting on like Noob Saibot levels of like, hey, you guessed wrong? Well, too bad, you know? And that's really good, because now Sub-Zero becomes really scary. Because if you mess up, or he manages to land a stray back 2, right? Or he does a stray stand 2, right? Or he goes like this and then goes like that, right? Anything, any of those things, which you see all the time. They'll do this and they'll back up and hit you with their mid. Any of that becomes potentially like round ending. So now this really does turn Sub-Zero into a kind of like Kenshi level of threat, you know? I think that's super good. This character really needs something like that. And Polar Palm, again, this was possible before Polar Palm, but now Polar Palm, the scaling is a lot less. So that same combo with the Vapors into Freeze was doing like 42, and now it's doing 50. It's a lot to you know, kind of like unpack with the new move. So granted, this didn't, I know everything's blowing up now with Sub-Janet, and everyone's acting like this is like new, and oh my god, you know, this wasn't here before. It was, I want to just kind of like reiterate, it was. I've been preaching this team for like over a year, but now, because of Polar Palm, everything they hit hard just hits harder now. And that's awesome. That's a good problem to have. That pretty much covers everything, guys. So that's everything I wanted to go over in this guide. If you want a tutorial breakdown of any of these things specifically, because this is more of like a showcase of this team, please let me know in the comments. I know I've been slow to upload. I've had other stuff going on, but I'd be happy to go ahead and make a video on that. I have a couple of other ones planned. But as always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. And this is your boy Musha. Be easy.